Hey guys, how's it going? Hi everybody, welcome back to Adobe Live. My name is VooDoo Val and I am here with my good friend Cody Bear. How are you this morning, Cody?
Hi, I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing excellent. I'm super excited for this episode. I feel like I say that at the beginning of every single Drawing a Blank episode because we always have cool themes and stuff to work on, but today I'm particularly excited about, and we're going to get into a little bit about today's theme and today's prompt, but first I would love to say hello to everybody in the chat, and let me know what the sound is like, folks. I think the last couple of streams the sound was a little low, so let me know how you guys feel about everything. Make sure everything is sounding all right, and I will kind of give you the rundown on what Drawing a Blank is. I see Z is in the chat. It's good to see you, Z. I see Elizabeth. It is always great to see you. Jack Watson is our mod for today, and I'm super excited to have Jack with us. RB, Robert, good to see you. General Kenobi, hello there. Patrick, Clever, welcome in. It's good to see all of you folks this morning. So what is Drawing a Blank? This is the show where Cody and I have prepared a prompt for you folks to actually participate in so that we can create a project by the end of the stream that is sort of, I guess technically you are our creative director.
Yeah.
We have little prompt prepped, kind of like the ones that are below us. With 3 things that you folks can vote on. If you are watching over on the YouTube channel, you will see the prompts for voting. The polls come up in that chat. If you're over on Behance and you're watching with us on Behance today, I suggest heading over to YouTube, popping out the chat, and just creating yourself a little voting module, because you'll be able to watch wherever you prefer and still participate. And we will be prompting you folks to give us some feedback throughout the stream as we build our project, which is a book cover today.
Ooh.
Let's see. Elizabeth says the music can be a bit quieter, but I can hear you both. I did reach over and tweak the volume of the music, so let me know if that is good. Volume is a bit low, but all right after I turned up my volume. I will give us a little tiny boost, and we will see how that goes. All right, so I'm going to pop over here to our work screen so you folks can see. Our prompt goes like this. This is a spooky or heroic adventure story about a mysterious or goofy character on a mission to uncover a secret or save the world, which honestly, I would read both of these. What about you, Cody?
Yeah. Yeah, and I this is gonna be an interesting prompt too, because it's somewhat vague. Like, so there's a lot of leeway in this prompt. So yeah, I'm very curious to see how this turns out. Have you ever designed a book cover before, Val? I
just took my very first official gig for a book cover recently.
That's exciting.
And I can't tell you anything about it because because I would be breaking NDA. But there is, for the first time ever, going to be an official VooDoo Val cover available at any bookstore near you guys pretty soon, which I'm pretty stoked about. But yeah, I will tell you in 6 months. That's when I'll tell you. What about you?
I'll tell you if it worked out or not.
Yeah, I'll tell you if it went well. What about you, Cody? Have you done one?
No, actually, despite the fact that I'm working on my own book, as are you, Val.
Yes, we're both writing books.
I have not actually, like, in my head designed. I guess I have an idea of what I would like my own book cover to look like, but I've never really taken the time to, like, actually draw it out, you know? Like, I have, like, some ideas maybe of what it could possibly look like, but never have I ever sat down and actually designed a book cover. So if you guys in the chat have any tips for book cover designs, please let me have them, because I am brand new to this. This is gonna be like a total, like, brand new foray into some graphic design for me today.
Awesome. Yeah, let us know, folks. Also know that our first poll is up. in the YouTube chat. So if you folks would like to cast your vote, we've already got some coming in. We've got 8 votes so far, which is a 50-50 split between spooky and heroic for our genre, our theme for this today. So head over there and break that tie. We'll leave it up for a little while. And I'm just gonna start working on like little concepts for the composition.
Yeah.
I'm gonna actually be doing I kind of test out a lot of different styles on this show, but I'm actually gonna be working on like my usual painting style today.
Oh, cool.
Because I think no matter what we end up voting on, I'm gonna work on a portrait of like the main character, or however it's going to turn out. So I have like kind of probably somebody who had a horrific looking book.
I also have heard too, if you think about it, the spine of the book is actually sometimes even more important than the book cover itself, because the majority of books are actually the way that they're, you know, positioned on the shelf in a bookstore is that only their spine is showing a lot of the time, unless it's like a standout spotlight book or something.
Yeah.
So the spine of the book is as important, if not more important sometimes, than the book cover itself.
I agree, and I think that people are doing a lot of really interesting things these days with even like you see people on Book Talk or Bookstagram who are illustrating the side pages of a book too, and making everything really beautiful. I think people are getting very interesting with their limited edition prints these days, and there's just like so many really great ideas and stuff when it comes to how a book should look, down to I think even really the classic for our generation and the previous generation, which is the hardcover being blank except for the title embossed on the cover, and there being a book jacket that has all the art printed on it, which is really cool. Elizabeth says, judge a book based on the cover and its summary. Yeah. Paloma says, book cover judger right here. Yeah. Jack likes to see the world / location. That's really cool. The cover is, there's a book, kind of a spooky but heroic book right now. The cover is beautiful. It's called The Gilded Ones. I'm going to Google that real quick and take a peek. Also, we've got about 12 votes in for our poll, and it looks like heroic has won. So I'm going to go ahead and say heroic is the theme, and we can kind of get into our next part of our poll, which is a mysterious or goofy character. Let us know, folks. And this is, you said that book, Paloma, was called The Gilded Ones. I'm gonna peek at it. Oh, that's gorgeous. Oh yeah. This is, I'm gonna do a little,
that's cool.
little preview. Yeah, this is like really, really gorgeous. And this is cool because it's like, you see the character on the front, but there's no background.
Yeah.
It's just kind of like, but I feel like the gradient in the back definitely has like a cool addition to the atmosphere of the story, right?
Yeah, definitely.
I'm kind of into that, to be honest. So that's really cool. I'm trying to think of some that I really love, that are also not like terrifying horror. So that I'm not like, yeah, check out this book, and then it's like scars you for life. Because I read a lot of horror books.
Speaking of, what is everyone's favorite genre of book?
Ooh, yeah.
That you guys get drawn to a lot?
Shocking no one. Voodoo Val likes creepy spooks. I do love a good horror story. I do love a good like fantasy romance, you know?
Yeah.
I think I'm also very partial to I like a post-apocalyptic kind of vibe too. I am obsessed with zombies. I never ever tire of zombie apocalypse. I don't care what anybody says. I love it. I don't think it's getting old. There was a time when I wondered if like it was kind of phasing out and stuff, but I feel like it's one of those concepts that came into being and now it's probably not going away. So that is like my die-hard like kind of story, especially movies to watch, though honestly the movies are like 80% garbage, but when you find a good one, it's good. What about you?
I am actually the opposite, funny enough. I don't necessarily read horror, but I do really love murder mysteries. I've always been a big mystery fan. Me and Val were kind of just talking about this the other day, actually. Yeah, you would think that I, just read kids' books all day, but I do not. I like suspense more than I like, like horror gore and stuff like that. I really like to be kept on the edge of my seat. I love like a bunch of really good plot twists. Like that's really fun. Murder mystery, like a whodunit, like Clue.
Yeah.
Love those kinds of stories. Never get old.
Yeah, I agree. I think I like a good mystery. I wouldn't say that I ever seek out like mystery novels specifically, but I do like those other stories that I mentioned with a hint of that sort of mystery intrigue. Like it's definitely something that I like to have. I suppose you might call it like a subgenre.
Yeah.
Just
sure.
like one of my favorite subgenres of horror is actually comedy. Like dark comedy or like, just hilarious horror stories. I like a good horror story that really is like very tongue-in-cheek when it comes to the tropes. For example, Cabin in the Woods. Cabin in the Woods was hilarious to me because it was basically your standard like college kids uncover antediluvian horror in the woods on a trip. Everyone's being stupid, and they kind of have to navigate their way through that. But I feel like Cabin in the Woods was like basically like, yeah, we're all here because we like the same thing and we know that it's stupid. We know that it's dumb. And I just absolutely adored that. Another great one would be Tucker and Dale versus Evil. It kind of has the vibe of like Evil Dead, but it's like two country boys who buy a vacation home that's like this really creepy rundown shack in the woods, but they are so thankful to have it. And then college kids stumble onto their property, so they're technically the bad guys, like the scary dudes in the woods, but they're like really wholesome, wonderful guys. And don't know what's going
funny.
On. So it's hilarious.
Like from a different perspective. Yeah,
and they're like, oh my gosh, this guy has a chainsaw, and he's like, well, yeah, I have to clean up my property.
That's super funny. Carol says, Cody, did you read Nancy Drew mysteries? I do read Nancy Drew. When I was growing up, my mom had a big Hardy Boys collection from when she was a kid. We eventually got rid of it, sadly. I actually was not a big reader growing up at all whatsoever. I've kind of only started reading more and more in the last like few years, really. But I have started recollecting Nancy Drew, and I've been reading them just slowly over time. And I also I've been playing the old like 90s Nancy Drew computer games too.
Yeah. I've called Codi up a few times when she's playing that, and she's like, "Hold on, I gotta solve this puzzle." It did legit make me want to dive into it, honestly, because I don't think I ever played those, but I definitely heard about them as a kid.
Yeah. They're spooky, man. When I was a kid and I saw, back when they used to, sell computer games physically, and I would see them on the shelf, I would be so interested in them, but I am glad that I did not play them as a kid. They are actually scary.
Really? Okay.
And especially because nowadays the graphics are like really old and dated. It kind of in a way makes it even more spooky because people just like sneak up on you and stuff, and it's like, whoa, okay.
Whoa, hey, personal space, buddy.
Yeah.
That sounds, yeah, like something I would definitely want to play. I have a soft spot for nostalgic games, and then kind of like you said, like I wasn't always a reader when I was a kid. I was more into video games when I was younger.
Yeah,
and then
same.
Reading is something that I probably the last 10 years I've been like glued to a book.
Yeah.
So Elizabeth says, I think I'm the opposite, to be honest. I read a lot as a kid, not as much as an adult, unless you consider webcomics as reading. I like visual stories more. I think that's perfectly valid. Yeah. Absolutely. Also, we've got our poll going, and it looks like Mysterious is winning, so we're going to go with Mysterious for the second voting in our poll, and we're going to start our third, which is on a mission to uncover a secret or save the world. So if you folks are just tuning in and you're wondering what I'm talking about, we are allowing the chat to vote on the theme we're working on for our book cover design, our book color illustration today. And so far we have chosen, this is a heroic adventure story about a mysterious character, and we're going to find out soon if they are working to uncover a secret or save the world. Which technically, I suppose, could be kind of a similar thing, no matter how you look at it, right? But I feel like if someone's trying to expose a secret, it seems more like my brain goes to like magical espionage. You know, cool stuff like that. And save the world is like swords and shields and like classic hero stuff. I'm kind of choosing to interpret the themes. I've got, you know, because I knew I wanted to do a portrait for this, and so I've kind of got my main character here, or maybe the villain. I've seen a couple of books put only the villain on the front cover, which
that's
I think
interesting.
is amazing. But I've got her here, and I've given her a crown. That's my homage to the heroic. We'll see how far I elaborate on that. I'm not sure just yet, but she's got her crown on, and if she's mysterious, then I'm gonna give her like kind of a sinister vibe. Robert says, I have some Nancy Drew second editions. Wow, that's
nice.
awesome.
That's awesome.
Trixie Belden, although I doubt that has murder involved. Just general mystery, you mean, Elizabeth? That's cool. I would love to know who everybody's favorite authors are. Like, who do you guys like to read? And I suppose that we could do, let's not just do author, let's do like favorite creator, because we've got some folks in the chat who definitely play video games. We've got some folks who are reading web comics and stuff, so I feel like we have a lot of media to choose from. So like, who is your favorite storyteller, I should say, if you could choose one? I feel like I'm really in love with Brandon Sanderson, which I feel like is a lot of people's favorite, or at least a lot of people have a fondness for his stories. My fiance shared the Stormlight Archives with me, which is like big fantasy epic, you know, and those books are long, man. I got an audiobook. One of his books, one of Sanderson's books from the Stormlight Archives, is the most downloaded, most purchased audiobook in the history of Audible.
Wow,
Because
that's crazy.
You could get it for a credit, you know, like a book credit if you had a subscription, and the book is 58 hours long.
Wow.
Massive
That's nuts.
novel.
58 hours? Oh my gosh.
58 hours. Yeah. Massive novel. And I think the new one that he's writing that's coming out, like, I think the draft was like 450,000 words, so it'll keep you busy. It'll keep you busy. Highly recommend the audiobook, because I wouldn't have been able to stay with a physical book for that long, but
Yeah.
I loved it. I loved every second of it. Hey Penny Doodles, welcome in. Good to see ya.
Hi.
Michael Brown in the YouTube chat, welcome in, Michael, is asking, would you ever consider using Firefly? I have used Firefly in a few of my project processes before, yeah. I like to use Firefly to generate material and textures sometimes if I need to overlay like paper textures and things like that. I often will like see if I can generate the textures in the colors that I need and stuff. And I also like to sample color palettes from things that I generate. I don't use Firefly in my illustration process. I prefer to do that by hand. But I have used it for assets and textures before, yeah.
Yeah, I'll use Firefly sometimes just for inspiration. Like if I have an idea, like for my book, for instance, for writing, if I have an idea of a scene in my head and I just need some help visualizing it, I'll kind of like put a description of that scene that I'm visualizing into Firefly, and it kind of just like being able to see different versions like actually right in front of me of what I'm like thinking in my head can kind of help a little bit to get the creative juices flowing, you know?
Absolutely. I think it's really up to the individual, you know, like how it's going to help. I found that it's useful, but I wouldn't say that it makes up a large portion of my process.
Yeah.
Mark Hadley is talking about an Arctic kayak story. That sounds chilly, bro.
Chilly. That's really cool.
Yeah, very. I am realizing that the facial expression that I have on this character is very drab. It's not really very exciting. Maybe it doesn't have to be. And to be fair,
stoic.
Very stoic. But we are designing book covers in an hour.
Right.
So it doesn't have to be perfect. And I think that I'm gonna mess with my little crown design for sure. But I am having a good time with it.
Yeah, I have like these little, I used the symmetry tool, by the way. I did not explain that whatsoever because we were gabbing. But I was using the symmetry tool. Yeah. And I just stuck it down the center of the cover. And I actually used it for everything to put all these shapes down. I used these, I hand drew these little arcs and things like that because I'm going to put the text in there, do some hand lettering maybe. And then down at the bottom, I have a space for the author name as well. Nice. And then around the edges, I started putting these branches, and just to make it symmetrical on both sides, I used the symmetry tool again. And I had them with leaves at first, but since we decided to do a mysterious character, I erased the leaves and now I'm adding thorns instead.
Okay.
It's kind of starting to feel a little Sleeping Beauty, but I don't know.
maybe that's the goal, though.
Maybe that's what I'm doing. You know, who knows? Maybe I'm just doing a Sleeping Beauty cover.
I feel like there's something to be said for starting a project like this with what's been done and kind of altering a little bit.
Oh, definitely.
I think that there's definitely a fine line, you know, but to anybody who has ever had trouble like really developing a concept and stuff, and you don't know what you want to do exactly, but you know that, you know, maybe you know that there's a particular vibe you're looking for, going and kind of looking to see what is out there for the kind of work you're trying to create, and then elaborating on that concept is a really great way to get started sometimes. And I think a lot of those classic stories are like kind of like blueprints really for great book covers. I think that, you know, book covers can be done differently than those were, but like the formula for laying out the cover of a story, I feel like those are the bare bones for what people universally accept as like the cover of a book. If you took out the artwork and the text and just added blobs and shapes in the shape of those elements in the ratio of a book, people, their brains when they saw it would be like, that's a book cover. Might not be very good with all of that detail lost, but like that's the bare bones for like book cover formula.
Definitely.
So don't be afraid to kind of experiment with what's already there, and then kind of add your own spin to certain things.
I also, and that's kind of in that same vein, I think that if you are thinking about like, hey, I really want to get into doing book covers, like do fan book covers of already established stories. Do a Sleeping Beauty book cover, you know, do a Harry Potter book cover, or, you know, like just like put those fan works into your portfolio, because then that shows a publisher like, this is what I can do with this kind of story, you know?
Absolutely. I think that's a great idea. I also, you know, books too, they get reprinted, especially those old stories. They get reprinted, and people are looking for new takes on old book covers. And let me tell you folks, fan art does get you jobs. It definitely gets you jobs. So if you find that like that's really what you want to do, doing some fan projects and stuff is a great way to pad a portfolio and show the world what you would like to be doing. Also, I think Uncover a Secret is winning our third poll. So I think it's safe to go ahead and go with Uncover a Secret.
Okay.
I almost want to, dare I draw a hand?
Oh
on
no.
A live stream. Because what would be really, really cool is if I had like her looking like a little like drab and mysterious, and then have her like holding her hand up, like shh,
her hand,
you know, like she's telling you to be quiet, kind of like, you know, are you voguing for me? Oh, are we doing this? Uh-oh.
Be your hand model.
Thank you. But yeah, I think I might do like a hush gesture, which could be cool. And normally I think like my usual process, we're definitely approaching this differently than what our usual process would be. I think there would be a lot more thumbnailing and iteration, and variation to ideas sort of coming together. But for putting all of this together in, I would say less than an hour, because we are still, you know, we wait throughout the stream for chat to kind of give us the final word. I think that it's all right to go with a first iteration for this.
Yeah, we sadly don't really have much time to think about things like that. So.
True. I almost wonder, I mean, I could do like your standard, like there is her finger and her other fingers and her thumb, and have her hand like kind of come down like this. But I feel like it might be more intriguing if the hand was lazier, you know, like. I don't know, we'll see. I'm gonna have to do a lot of Bobby. What does my hand look like? I'm using my hand as reference in my live streaming window.
Nice.
Because I can see how my hand touches my own face, and I'm gonna do that. And I think almost every time I draw a hand, it looks like something eldritch in nature up until I fix it.
Yeah, whenever I do hands, I'm always the most successful when I draw shapes instead of worrying about drawing the lines and just kind of like sculpting the shape away.
Mm-hmm. I think that's the best way to go, for sure. But I also think that like struggling with hands in a way is like very universal for artists. I'm sure everybody who is an illustrator in this chat at some point or another has like struggled to illustrate a hand. I've done it a few times with success. I try not to be that person who is like, my style is putting hands in pockets.
Yeah.
You know? Because that's just, I feel like that's just lying to yourself and hindering your own growth as an artist. But I specialize in portraits, y'all. So I don't draw a lot of hands. I don't like drawing hands. And so I do get away with not having to do it very often, which honestly just means that like I lack the skill. Truly, that's definitely one of the things I could say with honesty, that like I kind of lack the skill when it comes to painting a good hand. And I could stand to push myself a little more. That's actually starting to look like a legit hand, though. What?
Starting to. I mean, it looks great.
Thanks.
You know, you got the fingers. That's what a hand needs. You know, you got the knuckles.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's what a basic hand needs.
Right?
It's getting there.
Thanks. Did you hear that, guys? I have the fingers. I have the knuckles. I'm gonna have a wrist pretty soon, and I'm gonna become unstoppable. I read a post recently that was like, you guys are lucky I can't draw hands, because if I could, none of you would be safe. Like she's like, I'm choosing not to take the art world by storm. But if once I figure out how to draw a human hand, you're out of luck, folks.
You're gonna regret it.
Yeah, you're gonna regret it. There's a large painting, a nude painting that I painted in college with the painting a few large bottles right over it, because I found out early I can't do people. Yeah, and I feel like doing the classic like nude figure drawing, I think, is also like kind of a staple in a lot of art journeys and stuff. And it's so hard when you first start getting into that, because I feel like everybody knows what the human form looks like. I'm not, not everybody can execute it well, but everybody pretty much knows what's supposed to be there. So the moment you make a wrong turn in the process somewhere, it's glaringly obvious, and it can be really, really difficult to kind of move past that. You have to spend a lot of time, or at least I did, learning to do that thing that everybody talks about, called trust the process.
Yeah. Oh man. Getting past the ugly stage is so hard for me.
Yeah.
Like trusting that it's, trusting your own ability. Oh man.
Do I know what I'm doing? Have I ever known what I'm doing?
I'm going a little bit abstract with this. Kind of just doing like a little scene. I kind of have it's kind of hard to design a book cover without an actual book. Like a story in mind, because like when you have the story, you can read the book and kind of like, especially when you're doing more of an abstract scene, you can kind of just like take little key items and things from the story itself and place that into the book cover design. Yeah. So I'm kind of just like trying to do that but without a book. So I'm like just throwing some things down and like imagining that this is some kind of book that has to do with you know, these branches, these thorny branches might have something to do with the book, like this mysterious lighthouse, you know, might have something to do with it. I don't know. What do you guys think? Like, how, if you were us, how would you design a book cover?
Yeah,
like with this
this
prompt? Yeah, would you do more of a portrait, do you think, or would you go more like abstract kind of scenery? How do you think that you would approach it?
I think
And
that's a great question.
Also, has anybody in chat ever done a book cover? I forget if we asked that or not.
I think you asked if I had.
Yeah.
But I don't know if you asked if the audience had, which I'm also very curious to know. I am slowly making my way towards forming this into something a little more substantial, and it's not going to be a great hand by the end of this show, I don't think. You know? But I think that the argument could be made that it is better than the original strange squiggle. The Eldritch Horror. That was the very first portion of this. It's really bugging me though, like this, if it was cut off here, then I would be like, yeah, that's starting to look like a hand. But I know how much time and effort it's gonna take me to like start making that look really decent, and I don't think chat wants to sit here and watch me paint flesh French fries until they look normal. I don't think you want to do that.
Oh no.
So I'm not gonna force you.
Flesh
I'm not gonna
fries.
force it. What I am gonna do is I'm going to start blocking in some larger values so that I can really start to visualize the rest of this character. And I'm also flipping my canvas too, folks, because I feel like flipping your canvas is a surefire way to like figure out what exactly you ruined.
Yeah.
You gotta flip the canvas, otherwise you'll never know what a bad job you're doing. Well, it's not actually that bleak, okay? You're flipping your canvas can instantly show you your illustration in a new light, as if you stepped away from it for a few hours, if that makes sense. And you want to do it as often as possible throughout your process, because when you look at your work for a long period of time, it's really easy for the mistakes to start looking familiar.
Yeah.
And once your mistakes look familiar to you, it's game over.
Yeah.
You will not catch things that you need to catch. So like she's looking, or was looking, a little more lopsided to me, but if I rotate it around, you can kind of see the tilt that I'm going for, and I can start to sort of add in the defining points of the portrait in a way that will start to bring things around and look a little more natural. So what I'm gonna do is, if I take some red, my little teacher's portrait here, she's gonna be looking straight on here, and then I'm gonna have her neck sort of rotate around, so her neck will slope down and her collarbone is going to be right here, and then that's going to come around. So it's like I could put her in this like sort of gown, and I was thinking it could be made of like raven's feathers, because that's a little mysterious. I feel like a mysterious book character would definitely have at least a cloak with raven feathers on it.
Yeah.
And that's kind of where I'm going with that. But I need to start flipping my canvas and adding in these larger value moments. Maybe we can talk a little bit about value too. We've got about a little over 10 minutes left. But I think that as people start getting into illustration, and stuff. A question that I've heard a lot is that like which is more important, like value or color, because people kind of agonize over choosing the proper colors. I do all the time. And as a result, I paint a majority of my illustrations in grayscale first and color them after, so that I don't have to worry about choosing colors and deciding on those details while I'm trying to put together my piece, you know? And I feel like you can prove that very easily, like that value is more valuable than color by doing a simple test, which is, I'm gonna pop over here to my screen for just a second. If you like, I've got my values in here, but for the sake of doing like a little demo, I'm gonna fill that in. And if I take like this red color, and let's take like this green color, and maybe we'll get like a really bright purple. And the reason why I'm doing this is just to take like this really like a really garish collection of color that I would not necessarily like put together. Like if this was your color palette for a project, people would be like, oh, okay, you know? And if I do, I have a thing set up. Actually, I will show you. How do I do that? I actually can't remember. I think it was View. And if you go to Proof Setup and Custom, and you set Device to Simulate to Working Gray.Gain 20%, then when you hit Control Y, everything goes into grayscale. But you're still painting in color. You're just viewing everything in grayscale. So you can see different values that I have here, even though they are colors. And if I, over here, if I decide I'm gonna take, you know, some of these values and create a kind of portrait, I'm just gonna do like really quick, we're just gonna kind of make a little face. I think you can see that like as long as I have my values in here properly, I can pretty much start creating something that is good looking, you know?
Yeah.
Something that is very good looking, maybe not just yet, but you know, if I work on this and start to kind of detail it and really flesh it out, it'll start to be readable. And if I were to spend, I don't know, you know, 20 minutes on this, I think that you guys would start to see that it really becomes a fleshed out portrait that looks like a human person. You can read it at first glance. Can grab some of this dark value here and kind of put in the bottom of the nose just to kind of get that in there. And I'll put like the crease and corner of the mouth there. We'll just throw this in here. Get some eyebrows. Angry brows. Here we go. So it's starting to look like a face. You know, if I get a larger brush and do some chunkiness around for hair, then you can start to see like it becomes a portrait. It becomes a character that you can read easily. But if I come back into color, weird colors, super weird colors, and maybe you could make those work together, but like the color was not necessary in order to start to build something substantial. Because color, I think, is definitely secondary to value. As long as your values are differentiated, and as long as your value combination is strong or dramatic, whatever it is that you're really wanting to do with your artwork, it doesn't, the color doesn't really matter. Unless they're particularly garish, I mean, but you can change the colors afterwards. So I typically work in grayscale and then add color when I'm done. And speaking of value, I'm going to start adding some highlights. Let me pop back over where they can see you though. I love this layout that you have going, by the way. I'm in love with it.
Thanks.
Val, I did this tutorial about drawing hands with polygons. Did you really?
That's cool.
Ruh-roh. You sure did. Maybe I should use this tutorial. Maybe I should use it.
Your character's hair is looking fabulous.
Huh?
Your character's hair is looking fabulous.
Oh, thanks, friend.
Yeah.
I appreciate it. I think one of my favorite things to do, and I didn't get to do it as much as I wanted in this because, you know, we are limited on time. I didn't think I was going to paint like a fully fleshed out thing this whole time, but I really love illustrating hair and then putting in like these little dark cutouts. So that it looks like there's like depth in the massive hair, and then putting like little strands over top of it, so it's like you can kind of see something happening beyond like that first visual layer.
Yeah.
Very fun. Very fun. What is your kind of in our last like 7 minutes here, what is your favorite part of putting together something like this? Maybe not specifically a book cover, but like a poster, something that's going to be like presenting or representative of some kind of story. Do you have like a favorite part of that process?
I think finalizing the actual design, like for me, for anything, like going through like the thumbnailing process and like doing the problem solving is probably my least favorite. Just because it takes a lot of brain power to like figure it out and like experiment and stuff like that. But I think once I get to a place where I really like the finalized design and I'm like moving forward and it's like feeling good and it's like, yes, it's like, this is the design. This is it. We got it. We got it, boys. You know, like that's the feeling. That's the good stuff.
I agree. I think that there's something to be said for the magic of that moment, mostly because like there's always a time before that where you're like, do I know what I'm doing?
Yes.
Do I know how I'm supposed to be executing this? And somewhere in there is also the moment, unless you've done it so many numerous of times, and even then you know, sometimes, but you know, there's also a moment where you wonder if your concept maybe was more accurate in theory than in practice, you know, because the execution for something like this also has to be pretty spot on. And I've seen it's kind of like when you see somebody's work, or you see like promotional material, and you kind of get this sense that like, I see what they were going for, you know, like it had potential, but it didn't really hit the mark. I always feel like I might be on my way to doing that until the last minute where I'm like, no, I know what I'm doing. You know, but my fear is that I will come to the end of my project and it'll just be like, this was going to be good, you know? So getting past that and then feeling that feeling, like you say, of like, I did it. We did it, boys! I'm like, yeah! I know what I'm doing after all. I just added some very small highlights to her under eye and her eyeballs and like the tip of her nose and stuff, and all of a sudden it's a real person.
Oh yeah, isn't that crazy how like just painting on some light will make a huge difference? Yeah.
I think one of my favorite moments specifically when it comes to painting faces, if we want to get like really specific, is adding a little dot above the iris or the pupil, or wherever the light is going to catch the eyeball. It does not matter how loose, I don't think, like the actual eye and eyelids and eyeball and everything is. But if you have like a darkened portion to make up the iris and pupil, if you add like a spot of harsh white light to it, then all of a sudden it's like, oh, she's looking. And you can use those dots to differentiate like where the light is coming from and also where the character is staring to. You have a title and everything. I don't have, mine is called Prefix Book Title. That's what mine is called. I'm jealous. I didn't come up with a title for mine.
Yeah, mine is very simple. I mean, mine is basically a working title.
It looks like a legit project, though, I have to say.
Really?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Wow.
Chat.
I've never done this before.
That looks like a book that's like coming out. I feel like you have absolutely nailed the composition on this.
Yay!
100%. So, Val, you could use a spear instead of a hand. Oh, Michael Brown, you are speaking to my soul. I think that adding a weapon in here would be incredible, and if I had more time, I definitely would do that. You know what I actually do a lot, and I should probably slow down, but I add face scars all the time.
Oh yeah. All
the time. And one of my favorite scars, I know we've got like 2 minutes left here, but one of my favorite scars to add is a scar that runs diagonal across the top and bottom lip. I don't know why. Probably because the folds of skin and like the plush softness of the skin there is so interesting to me. It's one of my favorite parts of the face to paint anyways, to show those folds and that weight in the face. And if you add scars there, I find that number one, it adds definition to the shape of the face, because I can make these scars like run over her, like under her lip, over her chin, which is very interesting. And then if I light it properly and have like that push and pull of the lips is just really fun to do. So I'm gonna give her a battle scar real quick. And anyone who's seen my portfolio is gonna be like, again, this again. But yeah, man, that was fun. I think we've got probably 20 seconds here, so we've kind of like run out of time totally. But this has been a really good time, Codi. I thank you so much for hanging out. We got a nice view of your work as well, and I think we've kind of outdone ourselves. I really think we have.
I honestly, I'm happy with both of our projects. This is awesome.
Same. Thank you everyone in the chat for hanging out with us. If you are looking to catch some of our new YouTube series shows, which were live for the first time a couple weeks ago right after this show, you can find those videos over on YouTube if you'd like to continue them. But until tomorrow, folks, we will see you another time. Adios, everyone.
Bye, guys.